Everybody, this is Jeff Allen. Welcome to Who Gave Jeff Allen a... that's third person, isn't it? That's who gave Jeff Allen. Jeff Allen says, Jeff Allen says. I've always disliked people who talk in the third person. So maybe you should do the intro. Anyway, Mike Glenn, I was on your podcast. I was, and you're head of the Engaged Church Network now, and that's where you go. But you were senior pastor at Brentwood Baptist
for 32 years.
For 32 years, and you left on your own accord, and not a scandal. That's amazing.
The first ever.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So share with us. Is it because you didn't get caught,
no.
or you actually led a life
I told
that
the
was?
church one time. I said, I know y'all worried that you're going to hear that I had an affair or something. I said, let me help you. You will never hear I had an affair. You may hear I died tragically in the home. If you hear that, you may know what happened. But but I don't know who these guys married. That this stuff.
Right.
Miss Jeannie, she's not going to stand next to me when I apologize to the church.
Right.
Oh no.
Well, that was
no. That ain't happening.
Every week I get at least 10 or 15 women who want to show me their private parts on my messenger.
Yeah.
But the best one was I do a joke in my show that Tammy and I save our intimate moments now for special holidays. And turns out Tammy's favorite is leap year. And some woman writes me, she goes, leap year? You come to my house, I'll show you a good time every day. And I wrote her back and said, I'm sure your prowess between the sheets is legendary, but not worth half of everything I own, or potentially my life. Tammy doesn't believe in firearms.
No,
but that day I think she would.
If you hear she ran over me in the garage or something, you know.
Yeah,
that won't be a big announcement. No.
So that's 32 years, though. And you survived. I have friends that, were you the founding pastor?
No, I was the second guy.
Second guy,
yeah.
Okay. Because I've had friends that were founding pastors who got shoved out by politics. And so that's three decades.
This is what happens when you open the door and don't charge admission. So if you wanted a different clientele of people, you raise the
fee. Yeah.
You raise the fee.
Yeah, you buy a seat. I like that. And Brentwood.
But see, when you open the door and say, all come, this is what walks in.
I was sharing with my sister what Brentwood, Tennessee is. If they could, they'd build a wall around it and not allow the rest of us commoners in.
Everybody wants to be the last person to move in.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the founding. I don't know what the history, but one of the old country music stars bought Brentwood.
The town?
No, it wasn't a town. He came out there and started Brentwood, and he owned the water company. He owned all that, and he would sell it to his friends.
Wow.
So they could run downtown to the Opry and to the studios and offices, and then they'd come back and they would be separated.
I didn't know. I've been here 27 years. Yeah. Wow. So how long have you been here?
32. Oh, well, no, 35 now. So that's 32, yeah.
So you moved here to pastor the church.
From Alabama?
I grew up in Alabama. I grew up in Huntsville. And but I was in South Carolina pastoring a church there when I came here.
Oh, wow. I did not know that about Brentwood. It's funny, when we moved here, mid-90s is when I first visited to decide Tam and I were going to move here. There was no, maybe the Cool Springs Mall had just been.
No, there wasn't Cool Springs Mall.
There was nothing out there.
When I came in 91, Cool Springs Mall was not built. They had the mall wars.
Right.
Brentwood did not want the mall because they didn't want the traffic or anything. So what Franklin did was build a mall right up next to Brentwood.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But we would go to Christ Community when they were downtown on Main Street in Franklin. And I would drive because I was working Zanies, down from Nashville to Franklin, and it was all country. There were no buildings, and you're thinking you're just driving.
No, it's not unusual to find people who hunted all of this land.
Yeah. So in 30 years, it's become what it's become.
Well, it took that long for the old farmers to die off.
Well, that's it.
And
see, we're in Fairview now, and their second or third generation are selling. They're getting out. And I don't blame them.
We laugh
at $100,000 an acre.
We
you know.
laughed that they're signing the papers in the hearse on the way over. When Daddy finally dies, okay, we're all signing it.
I got my house. We rented for 7 years, and I kept asking the owner, "Will you sell me the house? Because I don't want to move again. Please,
Yeah.
please. My wife wants her own house, and now we're going to keep it in the family. We're going to keep it in the family." One day, out of nowhere, he shows up on my porch. "You still want to buy my house?" I said, "Yes, sir." He goes, "That'll be one less thing for my kids to fight over."
Yeah,
after
right,
I'm
yeah.
done. So apparently, they were eating dinner, and they were arguing. "We get the house. We get the house."
Yeah.
"No, you're not. None of you." And I said, "If you really want to stick it to those ingrates, sell it to me for $1."
That's right.
He goes, "I'm not that angry." I go, "You could be. Think about it.
Yeah, that's what I'm
They're
talking
your
about.
children that
I
can
get,
make it
I get you
angry."
ticked off real fast. At the end, yeah.
So, but yeah, I get it. I
Well,
really do. As annoying as it is in Fairview now that they're
Well, when
building on every square inch of dirt.
Brentwood Baptist Church was a plant of Woodmont Baptist Church in Green
Oh,
Hills.
okay.
They started us. And the big controversy was, why are we going to start a church down there? Nobody's ever going to live there.
Oh.
That's foresight.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Those are the people you want handling
Here's what
your
to break your
portfolio.
heart. Here's what to break your heart. They got 15 acres for $45,000.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the universal. Anytime I say that, remember, and then the whole church goes, "Oh man."
That's wild.
That's like when Xerox came out, there were, forward-thinking people who thought, "Why would you need a machine when there's carbon paper?"
Yeah. Well, why would you do this?
Right? Nobody's going to live out there.
Yeah.
When you got to Brentwood Baptist, how large was it?
About 800 on Sunday morning.
And I heard you speak on a podcast about everybody's like, "Oh, I want a bigger congregation," when they're young pastors. I
Yeah.
want a bigger pulpit. I want a bigger pulpit. And you said something so beautiful that was like, it's the same 200 people.
It's just more of them.
And then it's more
one
to
of the
deal
most
with.
depressed days in my life. I staggered home one day and flopped on the couch, and he said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Baby, there's just more of them." It's the same,
more personalities.
same guys
Yeah.
in my first church are in this church.
Yeah.
There's just more of them. Instead of 4 Mr. Sams, I've got 20. But they're the same people.
Yeah. I golf with our senior pastor periodically, and I can't imagine. I always, when I would work churches, I'd say something that remotely would be controversial.
Yeah.
I said, "Email me, not the pastor. He has no control what comes out of my mouth. Please leave him alone."
But everybody always tells me, "Man, I wouldn't do what you do." And I tell people, "Well, you don't get to see what I see."
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I have
Those
been,
change
I have
lives,
been up close and personal with some stuff that's just amazing. There was this one lady who had broken off an affair. I got to tell my husband, I want to tell him in your office so he doesn't lose.
So he doesn't kill me.
He doesn't kill me.
Yeah. I'm sorry to
All
laugh.
right. I mean, that was it. She did not know how he would react.
Yeah.
And so she tells him, and he begins to understand what she's saying to him. And do you remember those cartoons where the sword would just cut a guy into squares and he would fall?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's exactly what this guy did. And by the time she's finished talking, he is on his all fours on the floor.
Wow.
Just sobbing into the carpet. And all of a sudden, he grabs the carpet and straightens his back and looks over at me and he says, "This is not God's will for our family." And he's still on his knees, takes his wife's hands, and he said, "I'm so sorry that you thought you had to go somewhere else."
Wow.
Sat on the couch next to her and looked at me and said, "What do we do now? We got to find a new way." I'll fight for that guy from now on,
Yeah, that's kind of our story.
Yeah.
I found out when
Yeah.
Tammy had an affair.
Yeah.
And had she come home that night, I don't think we'd be married. I
Right.
would have laid into her.
Sure.
But I had a night alone and did a nice little inventory of what she put up with for 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
And when she came home, I pretty much said the same thing. This marriage is a mess.
Yeah.
We got a lot of work to do.
Mhm.
But, if you want me,
Yeah.
we got work. If you want the guy in California, I'm not going to stand in your way.
Yeah. Yeah. But when you pull out the blame pie,
Right.
there's usually
Well, that's
a
it. And
couple
that's what I
pieces
told
for
her.
everybody.
Well, I told her that. I said it's got to be 50-50.
Yeah.
51-49. We're going to try to balance it with words, and those words will get ugly and hateful. So you own your 50, I own my 50.
Yeah.
And somehow, if we're managed to be
Yeah,
together,
but the thing is that everybody would tell you a happy marriage is 50-50. That's baloney.
Yeah.
A marriage is 100-100. Okay, you have to show up every day, bringing everything you have, putting it all on the line, and your wife has to show up with that too. Now, here's the dirty secret nobody will tell you. Every day you have to come up with a 200.
Right.
Okay, so we have twins. Well, they're 41 now, but and my wife took care. She was a stay-at-home mom. She took care. She was a great mom and loved our boys fiercely. But some days there was nothing left for me.
Yeah.
Okay, she had been a great mom. My priority was I sat out and I said, "Baby, be a good mom to my boys. That's all I want." And she did that. But there was nothing left for me. And I used to tell her, I said, I went from 1 to 3 overnight. I'm third. And now when they got married, I went to 6 because now we got 2 girls ahead of me. Now we got grandkids. I'm not even in the top 10. No.
But I think we're wired, and I've tried to explain this to my sons when they were getting married.
Mm-hmm.
You're wired to provide and protect.
Mm-hmm.
That's your first and foremost
exactly
duty
right.
as a husband and a father. And as long as you're providing and protecting, you'll at least feel like a man.
Right.
And then you'll have something to give your wife. If you're not, because I was never at my worst when I wasn't providing.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't feel I had any self-respect to give. If I don't have any self-respect, then it's difficult to be respectful.
Right.
But I think the other way around. Again, I'm not a woman, so I don't know what Tammy needed from me because we were both damaged goods.
Sure.
So it's hard to ask when your whole childhood you ask for things and you're knocked down.
Mm-hmm.
You just quit asking.
Mm-hmm.
You just assume nobody's there for you, and you'll manage. You've survived this long, and that's kind of what we were in for the first decade of our marriage. Was just we were just used to surviving, But I love the analogy 100-100.
Yeah.
But then again, that gets depleted as
That's right.
roles are taken.
Because sooner or later, everybody gets a turn. There are days when I had to come home with 150 because that's all she had.
Yeah.
And there are other days when, I didn't. Jeannie was my biggest advocate and support when I dealt with my mom. And Book Club wrote a book about it called Coffee with Mom. And the last 4 years of my mom's life, we moved her up here. I would say she moved up here, but if you go down I-65, you'll see those 2 ruts where her heels dug in from Huntsville. So I'm dragging her up here from Huntsville. So if you drive down, you see that's where Mike's mom was.
Yeah.
And I would stop and have coffee with her, and gosh, she would just wear me out.
Yeah.
Just,
That's great. Coffee with
Mom.
Coffee with Mom, Mike Glenn. Yeah.
Oh, the woman's perspective on what you were talking about, or as we like to call, worth the hassle. That's
Worth the hassle.
The woman you married is worth the hassle.
Oh, yeah. Well, I tell people all the time, you buy a Volkswagen, there's one set of expectations. You got a Maserati. Maserati's a lot of upkeep.
Yeah. I feel like I'm more like a Subaru.
Yeah.
I got a real Subaru vibe.
Yes, I know.
You're a forerunner.
Yeah.
Never dies.
Yeah.
Totally
Always
reliable.
running, always running.
Always ready.
Yeah, most of the time, the first thing a woman needs in a relationship, and this is kind of the rule of thumb with things, is security.
Yeah,
Safety.
I was going to say safety.
Yeah,
That's what you want from your dad.
I have to know I'm safe.
That's what you want from your husband. Always. I just want to know that I'm safe and it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because Tammy and I, and again, I think we got you. You have to interview her. I'm not going to be here for that. We'll get her. In. But I think we.
Do you want me to do it while you're on the road?
We've talked about this over the years, and I don't think I'm breaking any confidences. But
Yeah.
she had a 2-year-old when I met her, and then she got pregnant a month after I asked her to marry me. So we moved the wedding up a year and got married. And in her family, she was a 2-time loser.
Right.
She got 2 kids out of wedlock, and it weighed on her heavily. So when I turned out to be the jerk I was,
it was validation that everybody, what
well, that
everybody
was
said.
it. And then there, at least I was at the time providing, so there was some security. And I was, somebody said, "What's the key to a happy marriage?" It really helps if you're gone half the year. When you have my personality, this cloud floating through the crowd, the happy comedian.
Well, one of the things with COVID was the stresses of marriage of traveling husbands.
Oh, because now they're home.
Because now they were home.
I tell you, Tammy said in 30 days, she goes, "You've never been home 30 consecutive days." Really? And I said, by day 45, we were on our iPads looking for lawyers. It was not pretty.
Well, day 30, she thought she'd get out on parole.
Well, that was it. She thought she wanted me home full time. Right. But I'll tell you, though, by 2 months, we were settled in, and I was actually, and by the time I went out on the road after 5 months, I came home and told her if we had the money, I think I'd retire. I love what I do, but that grind of going to the airport, going to all of that, it's like, but when you're in it, that's your life. That's your job. That's your life. It's like anybody, one man or woman who travels. That becomes your life. I mean, it's just it doesn't bother you so much. But when you get out of it for months and then get back in it, you go, But yeah, the 30 days was. She was happy by day 45. It was like, my God, and there's no end to this COVID thing.
Hey, there's a comedy club in New York. It'd be great.
It would be great if the government would just give me an end date. So I could mark it off my calendar. He'll be on the road again. Yeah.
She's like, "Hey, I got a really crowded. Come hang out with my crowded friends.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Let's get you out of here." Yeah.
So
that's wild. I have a question.
Yeah.
If that's okay. Where do you see the differences in the church in the last 20 years with social media and everybody looking for a motivational speaker, this kind of, where have you seen the church change in the last 20 years, and where do you see it headed in the next 20?
As far as even just teaching the Bible in general.
Oh, gosh. Use back a paper if necessary. That kind of, all right. We have gone through a lot of every institution, organization has. The church is not exempt from that. In the 60s and 70s, in the evangelical world, we went through this thing where we wanted the ministers to be professionals. So you could literally go to workshops on how to dress, on how to wear a suit, how to stuff, and they wanted you to carry a briefcase, and they wanted you to join the Rotary Club and all of that so that you were seen as a community professional. Well, the problem with that is that you once you're viewed as a community professional, then like a dentist or a doctor or an attorney or a CEO, is that you give away the very thing that gives you your power and authority, is then that you're different. I'm not like you. I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine who is a CEO, and I made a comment about being a Baptist CEO, and he put his fork down and looked up at me and sighed, and he said, "I talk to CEOs all week. I don't come to church to hear from a CEO." So there was that. Then there was what I call the mechanization of church. We went and we studied McDonald's, we studied Disneyland, studied, and they did. They would tell you to go learn about hospitality from Disney World, learn about processes from McDonald's. And so we tried to mechanize this thing. Here's how you start a church. If we go to a conference and get you a little box and you'd start a church. Now we have come through all of that. Social media is part of it. And I try to tell people, you have to understand now, you're no place that people don't have a phone. And you'll hear a politician, when I was in a barn and I didn't realize people were going to be taking pictures. You're an idiot. Okay, we're going to vote you out because you're an idiot.
Right.
Okay, my boys and I went to a football game in New Orleans. And so they jump up and we're in the hotel and they say, "We want to go to Bourbon Street." And I said, "It's 2 blocks that way. Everybody needs to go once." I'm going to sit right here. And I said, well, why aren't you going to go? I said, because there's no place you can take a picture of me that doesn't get me fired.
Right.
Okay. I mean, we know what's on Bourbon Street. I know who I am. I know there's going to be, it's the old thing. I'm going to see somebody from my church over there. I know that. So I don't go. Okay. So the whole social media, and we wanted to get all into the social media and try to do the gospel in 140 words or 140 characters or less. Now what you're seeing is a reversal back to very, very basics. You won't have as many mega churches. You will have community churches of about 500. I want to go where I go to school with people. I want to see these people.
Well, that's what we finally did. Tammy, we were at a church for 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll go back to even Christ Community when we first got here.
Mm-hmm.
We were there for 5 years maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And some Sunday, we were waiting for our kids to come out of Sunday school.
Right.
And 5 years we've been there.
Mm-hmm.
I said to Tammy, point out somebody we know.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that was our choice, was to hide.
Mm-hmm.
But they made it
Made it
easy.
very easy.
And then we went to another place for 15 years. And other than me walking down and talking to the senior pastor periodically,
Mm-hmm.
didn't know anybody.
Mm-hmm.
15 years.
Mm-hmm.
We just sit up in the balcony.
And what we're finding out, what we've always known is the first way somebody tells us something is wrong is they quit coming.
Right.
That's the first way they tell us something's wrong. I'm going to have a hard time. So we want as many hands on you as we want a Bible study teacher. We want somebody who knows you on your pew or whatever, so that when you're not there, somebody goes, "What?
Yeah.
Jeff, where's he been? You seen him?"
Well,
No.
that's interesting.
And then you make a call.
Well, we started going to a church local, our first time
Right.
going to a Fairview
Mm-hmm.
church. And they were meeting in the elementary school. Then they built a building literally a minute from our house.
Mm-hmm.
When they offered home groups,
Mm-hmm.
I asked Tammy, would you be willing? Because if she's not going to do it, it's not going to happen.
Right.
Because she's the hostess.
Yeah.
She said, I don't know, Jeff. Anyway, we did. And she said, I'm not leading. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
talking. I'm not doing anything. And now she leads every Tuesday. She prints out the sheet.
That's right, yeah.
We talk about, and just watching her grow in the
Right, yeah,
community.
right.
She said, I met 3 people from church at Publix today.
Mm-hmm.
We feel like for the first time now we're part of a community.
Right.
And that has nothing to do with the message. That has nothing to do, but that change
Sure.
is
And that's
was life changing
That's the future of the church.
for us.
And that's why I'm dubious about all, when nobody's going to church anymore, they're not counting the house churches. They're not counting the small groups.
Oh,
They're
I have
all-
2 friends that meet every Sunday
Yeah.
with 6 or 8 couples
Yeah, exactly right.
at their house
Mm-hmm.
every Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of when you read the book of Acts. That's the way it was. And that's the way it should be,
That's
because
the way it
now
happened.
there's accountability for,
Well, yeah.
hey, we haven't seen you in a
Yeah,
few weeks.
I
Are
haven't
you
seen
okay?
you, or you ask us to pray about your relationship with your neighbor or your boss, so
Right.
tell us how that's going.
Right.
And I'm not a big group guy, all right, because okay, anyway, well, that's another podcast. We'll come back to anyway. I'm in one now. And I was with a friend of mine that I've literally known since he was born, but he's always into something. He's an entrepreneur. He's done this, done that. So he's a hoot to hang out with. And so I asked him, I said, I said, Spence,
Hold
what?
on, she's from California. Hoot is fun.
Fine, that's right.
Oh,
yeah.
it's not an owl.
No,
Not an owl.
not
Oh,
owl.
okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
You will have to translate.
Thanks.
I'm deep south.
Yeah.
Lost Ball and High Cotton. Those are all my favorite. So he's always you always feel better after you're around him,
Right.
because Congo. So I said, what group you in? He said, I'm not in a group. I hate groups. I said, me too.
So they started a group of people who hate groups.
Call your buddies, and we'll have a group of people who hate groups. And literally, that was our thing. Hey, you hate
the title of
groups.
the group,
Just about group haters. Group haters. We've been together 4.5 years now.
So is that the prerequisite to get in? You go, hey, do you like groups? And they go, well, you're not one.
You're not one of us. You're not one of us.
Yeah,
but it's the kind of thing like a guy in a group says, I know I need to pray with my wife, but when it gets to it, I just choke. I just can't do it.
Wow.
So
that's us.
Yeah. And so
we do it for like 2 nights.
So I told him, I said, what time would you pray with your wife? And he says, I don't know. We get the kids to bed. He said, probably about 8. I looked at the guys and I said, all right, 8 o'clock, everybody texting.
Oh, that's great.
So he's sitting there watching TV and his phone blows up. And his wife goes, what in the world? He says, well, I guess we got to pray now. But that's a little bitty story. It's a kind of fun story. But
I think I'm going to talk to the men in our group.
But the thing is,
I think that's a great idea.
Just a little bit of accountability. We're going to buzz you.
10 o'clock, she'll be asleep, and I can pray for her.
You pray for her.
I think that's great.
Yeah, so that's just a little thing. And again, it's 8 or 9 guys. We know each other. We walk in the journey together.
Wow.
Somebody's not there. Where is he? Who's going to follow up?
Yeah.
If you have a reported in, I'm on vacation with a family, or send a picture in, bragging about where you are or something, then.
And understand, and I'm saying this to the listeners, that if you start praying with your wife, your marriage will come under attack.
Yes.
It will be automatic.
But I'll tell you something else. You start praying for your wife, and Jesus will give you insight to her that you can't get anywhere else. There is something about talking with the one who made her that will open a door to love her in ways that you would not have discovered on your own.
Wow. I don't know if I want to get into her.
You see, listen, the Lord invited me to a deeper prayer time a long time ago, about 25 years ago. And it was pure invitation. I want you to come deeper. My answer, no.
Yeah.
I've made 1 million promises to you. I've kept none of them.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've kept none of them.
I'm at 1,000,005 right now.
That's embarrassing to you. It's embarrassing to me. Right. So let's just agree that I'm doing about as best as well as I'm going to do. It's the best I got. Conversation comes back. Try it for 30 days. I can stand on my head for 30 days.
Yeah.
So for 25 years, I've been signing up 30 days at a time. September 1, I will re-up.
Okay.
Or I can quit. But right now, I'm obligated to finish out August in my commitment to Jesus. Well, I can do that, and I've been doing it.
Oh, I like that.
And one of the things that happened to me out of that was I started praying for Jeannie. And if you had asked me, I would have told you our marriage is a 10. You know what I found out? Jesus has more numbers than 10. Yeah. Here I was celebrating. I've got a 10. He's feeling sorry for me. He's only got a 10. Boy, if we hit him up 28, he'll lose his mind. Yeah, 35, 220. I got all these numbers, and you're not even close to that. To the point that about 3 months later, Jeannie and I are eating out, and she says, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Sure." She says, "What's changed?"
Wow.
I said, "What do you mean, what's changed?" She says, "What's changed?" I said, "I don't know." She says, "You don't lose your temper with me. You know stuff. You listen when I talk to you. You put your eyes on me, and you listen. I want to know what's changed."
Oh.
And I said, "Well, I'll be honest with you. Here's I started praying for you, and Jesus reminded me that you're one of his favorite people."
Man, I want that.
And now I'm in.
My prayers have been for the last probably 2 months. Teach me to love.
Mm-hmm.
Teach me how to love.
Mm-hmm.
Teach me how to love her and her alone.
Mm-hmm.
Make my eyes only for her.
Mm-hmm.
And teach her how to love me as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a shame at this point in my life at 70 years old that
Jeff, most people never know that.
Yeah.
Well, most people never find that out. You see, the thing for me is,
I want to hear that from her. I want to hear her in 3 months go, what changed?
yeah, I had to learn to speak Genieese. This men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
Yeah.
We're not near that close. That assumes we're in the same physics.
Yeah.
No, Jeannie's physics are way different than mine.
Yeah.
The way she figures out the world and the way she gets, it just makes no sense to me. But it doesn't have to.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's great. There was something you brought up. Oh, gosh. This is why I interrupt. It's because I can't hold the thought. It's just, I can see it's just dissipating out into the
well, I tell people, send me an email. You don't see me write it down. I'll think about it, but it'll be Thursday or something.
Yeah.
You brought up the churches getting small, and I think that there's such an emphasis right now on community because for the first time, we really lived without community.
Yeah.
Historically, we never went through that experience.
We had no idea the damage we did.
Deep damage.
The deep damage we did and the hurt we did. And if I could go back, of course, and nobody knew what we were dealing with. Nobody understood. The governor's office is calling me going, you got to help us, Mike. Because this thing is going to, we got to flatten the curve and thousands of people are going to die. And then you got church members over here. Well, I read on Google and, so I think what I would tell people now, because we shut down and we did a video and it worked as well as that could do. But I didn't know the number of people in my church who live Sunday to Sunday.
Yeah,
and they will
that's
say
their only connection.
That's the only connection.
The outside world.
Yeah, and they come, and it's the only place where they know they're loved. So they're desperate to get there. So they'll run into you, and you'll hug them and ask them how their life is, or they can wave at you across the church, and we rip that away from so many people. I would tell the church if I had to go back and do it again, I would say, listen, we're going to have a guy on the piano. He's going to be way over there. It's Nashville. It's not like we're short piano players. You can find them anywhere. He's going to play a little bit, and I'm going to do Bible teaching, and I'll start at 7 in the morning, and I will stay as long as you come. And that's when I'm not going to police you. I'm not going to be your daddy. And if you don't want to come, then hear me give you permission to stay home. That's okay. But if you want to come, sit wherever you want to sit. I'm not going to go out there and measure or get 6 feet away, and then when we're done, head out this door. We'll let the people come in this door.
Yeah,
and that's what I would have done.
That was my favorite part of that whole thing was the 6 feet. Was that in the laboratory? Sneeze, Joey.
Yeah, and then
measure that.
then we find out that they made it up.
I know. That was what came out of it for me because I was probably one of the last right of center human beings that actually trusted the government.
Well, it got to where, but
not anymore.
Didn't your BS, your Baptist stuff? Yeah. Didn't it ping kind of in there like to be 6 feet apart and all this, and you got to wear this kind of mask? It's like, come on, guys, you guys are just winging it. Y'all are just making it up.
Well, the joke I used to do is Tammy crocheted me a mask so I could get on the airplane. I could shove my almonds right through the mask. But that's how ridiculous it got.
Was.
And Carolyn was telling me off air before you got here that her husband's ex booted him out of the house because he wouldn't get vaccinated. You want to live here, you got to get a wife tells a husband, you're leaving.
We have a special needs
granddaughter. You don't get a
granddaughter.
vaccine, and it's like, holy cow.
We have a special needs granddaughter. My daughter-in-law is a nurse. Son's an attorney, and they said to us, "You want to see your granddaughter? You'll get vaccinated." Okay.
Right. Well, that's.
I get. Are you here because? No, I'm here because I have a granddaughter.
Right. Yeah, Tammy. She was high risk.
Yeah.
She smoked for 40 years, and we almost lost her to COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So when she said, "I want you to get vaccinated," I said, "I'll do it for you."
Sure.
But
It was that 45th day he didn't go on the road, so she just went out and got it.
yeah,
She was like, I'm done.
yeah. I can't.
Yeah. Do you have COVID? Do you have COVID? Get it.
Give it to me.
But the isolation and community in the smaller churches, I mean, that is something that I really think is going to be, even just the men's group, like you were talking about.
You have the community, you have the intergenerational relationships and mentorships that we have lost in the family.
Right.
I was, my dad took me in the living room and taught me how to shake hands.
Yeah,
Okay.
I taught my son.
Okay, so
That's what- yeah.
you didn't go in the living room in my house for anything. That was off limits.
Was you have the plastic covers?
Don't touch anything.
My
Don't say-
grandmother.
so
90 degrees, no air conditioning. Everybody get up and make that fart noise. And of course, the kids were falling.
yeah, and we used to go in there and try to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's how we got caught in the living room. But it taught me how to shake. Now you have young men who do not know how to relate.
Well, that
to women.
I just heard a podcast.
Yeah.
I forget what it was talking about. They were overseas, and they happened to be there. It was a tribal thing where they take the 13-year-old boys into the woods, and you eat what you hunt. Otherwise, you starve to death.
Right.
That's basically it. Joey didn't make it. He's a terrible guy.
It's kind of 2
But
out of
that's
10.
basically it. You leave a boy, and you come back a man.
Joey's a
And
19
there was always this historically, there was this transformation from boyhood to manhood. And I've heard the pastors use it because there's a lot of push now because of this. They call them boys who shave. They're not men. They're in their 20s, they're in their 30s, but they're little boys still. And there is no rite of passage. But I remember I introduced my son who was 14 or 15, and he used to shake hands and go, "Hi-de-ho-de-ho," from the Simpsons. And I immediately grabbed him by his collar. I dragged him into the bathroom, and I go, "Give me your hand." And I showed him how to shake. This is how my friends. I don't care what you do with your friends. But when I introduce you, look them in the eye and you shake their hand like this. This is what a man does.
My dad brought my mom in and said, "Now, when a lady walks in the room, you stand up. This is what you do." So mom would walk in the room, I would stand up.
Yeah.
And then he taught me, if she extends her hand, you shake it. If she doesn't, then you don't shake it.
Oh, okay.
And your dad, what was his name?
John Glenn.
John Glenn. And
Which was a lot of fun in Huntsville in the early 60s.
That's right.
Because there was an astronaut.
oh, there was an astronaut named John Glenn.
That was
Yes,
Yeah.
John Glenn was a
That was my
famous
dad.
Well, you're old enough that you still think we went to the moon.
So when I
if that didn't, I just sat with somebody who actually said that to me. You actually think we went to the moon? I go, I'm with Chuck Colson. Remember what Colson said when he went to prison? He realized that nobody keeps a secret.
nobody could keep a secret.
Nobody keeps. So anyway, if this Jesus thing was a conspiracy,
we
not
found
happening.
out. Yeah, we'd found out.
Yeah. So anyway, for the moon landing to be, and this is going to start a controversy. And by the way, the Earth is round. Let's start another one while we're here. But for that conspiracy to work, there were thousands of people involved in the fake moon landing, and not one of them have talked.
I knew
40
a lot of them we knew in Huntsville. All the engineers and guys that put all that space shuttle stuff together. They were all my friends' dads and moms.
Well, I asked about John Glenn, your dad, because I heard you speak on another podcast that he broke generational poverty.
Yeah, he broke the poverty cycle in our family.
Yeah, and I wanted to be that interviewer and be like, how did he came out of the Depression and...
Oh, yeah, my dad said they used to sit around on Christmas and exchange glances.
That's not bad.
Yeah, not bad.
As a matter of fact, we do that a lot in our family.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
What do you mean by that? What? I didn't say anything. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did with your son.
And it's a worthless dirt farm, and he leaves. He meets my mother at a roller skating rink, trips her because he thinks she's cute, And that's the way
Foreplay.
That's the way it all started. Now, my dad used to get thrown out of roller skating
She
rinks
had that limp their whole marriage.
for skating on the wall. Well, her thing was, she said, I told him I'd get him back, and I married him. And so, he's get thrown out of roller skating rinks for skating on the wall.
Oh, whoa.
Because he'd get going real fast, jump up, throw his leg up, and skate on the wall.
Oh, wow.
And they had a contest on who could get the highest mark on the wall. Well, they got thrown out of a skating rink one time, and Daddy went up to the guy and said, I know you're mad, and I know we got to leave, but can we go look at the mark? So we tell him what.
Right.
So he joined the Air Force, learned electronics, came to Huntsville to teach electronics, started a television shop in our garage, and then was a local city politician. So I was a pickup and delivery guy at the television store. It ended up being the largest RCA Whirlpool dealership in North Alabama.
Now, was he a church
awesome.
goer?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I learned to love Scripture from him studying the Bible for his Sunday school lesson.
Yeah.
And was he Baptist as well?
Mm-hmm.
What was that like? Because that's how I always picture, you read older novels, and it's like the rural South, there's a little Baptist chapel. Everybody knows each other.
Yeah.
And I feel like now the way neighborhoods are.
Oh, I was raised by a mafia of moms.
I love that.
Yeah, my mom had divided Huntsville up into jurisdictions. And if I was in this jurisdiction, I was under this mother's authority.
Right.
And this mother could ground me, whip me, dock my allowance, any of that. And anything decided in any jurisdiction was held in every jurisdiction.
Right.
So by the time I would get home, my mom would hang up the phone and go, where you been? What you been doing? Miss Snyder just called, or Margaret just called, and let's talk about this.
Yeah, that was kind of, I grew up in a small town where everybody knew everybody, and it was that Allen boy.
Yeah.
That Allen boy, he's doing it again.
My brother and I used to joke that our real name was John Glenson.
John Glenn's son.
Because, hey, you're John Glenn's son, aren't you? So, payback, right? So I moved to Nashville. My dad's the biggest country music fan in the world. He just eats up country music. So anytime I would meet anybody, I would get him to sign a picture to Mike's dad.
That is nice.
So my dad had this whole picture, his wall of famous country stars to Mike's dad.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Ooh, when did you know you were called to be a preacher?
I've always known.
You just always?
I just always known. And that's weird. People say, well,
I don't think that's
there
weird.
There was no crisis. Now, I've had crisis of obedience where I didn't do what I knew I was asked to do, and graduated from the School of Hard Knocks with that one, But I've always known that Jesus was in our family, and my mom played the piano. Anytime she was not up and doing something in the house, she was at the piano. I told somebody one time, if we do a soundtrack of my life, it's going to be all the old gospel songs on the piano with my mom banging away. The interesting thing is, mom never lost her music with her Alzheimer's. She would sometimes forget me. She would forget that the boys were born. She'd want to know where Dad was, and Dad had died 3 years before. But she would always be able to play.
It's interesting. I heard a story about George Burns. At the end of his life, he was 97, whatever it was, and he was in the dressing room catatonic. And again, this is anecdotal, so if it's not true, I'm sure we'll hear about it. But he was basically catatonic. And they'd go, it's time, Mr. Burns. And they would stand him up. They'd walk him to the stage. The curtain would open, and he would do an hour of comedy. Come back, sit down, and be gone again. And that's like my biggest fear.
That's right.
At the end of my life, all I can remember is my stupid act. My grandchildren looking at me, Volkswagens, what's he talking about?
That's right.
We have flying cars now.
That's right.
Maybe in this generation. Tammy keeps bringing that up.
That's right, yeah.
Where's my flying car?
Well, I'm with her. Everybody says AI this, AI that, and I said, you'll excuse me if I'm just slow to get on this bandwagon, folks. But
Right. I want my flying
I'm still
car.
waiting on my car.
Right. We were told when we were little.
Yeah.
I was just talking to my sister today of coming to the studio. Remember, we'd go to the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago, and we heard about video phones in the 60s and early 70s. We're going to have video, be able to chat and see each other, and we were like, not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, you know, the old Dick Tracy watch.
Right,
was the
remember
coolest
that?
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You don't know Dick Tracy, do you? It was a cartoon, and he had an Apple Watch.
Oh, really?
Basically,
He had an Apple Watch.
Wrist radio, and he would talk to people on his
yeah.
wrist radio. And we'd
Oh.
go,
Yeah.
no way.
He said,
No way.
That's fake. Yeah.
So let me ask you a Jesus question. What's different with the way people preach about Jesus and what's actually the Gospels teach about Jesus? Is there a disconnect? And overall, I mean, we're making general statements.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
there's obviously
Well, yeah.
individuals, but the church in general.
The real crisis comes. The gospel is very, very simple. We're messed up. We can't fix ourselves. Jesus came, and his life, death, and resurrection, we can be restored to life of meaning and purpose. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, once you say that, you've said it. So you got 51 more Sundays. You got to come up with something.
I love it.
So,
Can't do that every week.
no, you can't. But so then it becomes, well, how do you know? Okay, you know if you do these things. Okay.
Now you're into works.
Now you're into works, and you're arguing about how many times you say really. I really love Jesus. What? You just said it once. I don't know that really counts. So that's what it gets to.
Well, that's a great analogy.
The other thing is, Jesus and the brand. It's always fascinating to me that God introduces himself as artist. You would think the first book of the Bible would have been Exodus. I pulled you out of Egypt. I'm the God who saved you. Now I want to take you out. But he doesn't. He introduces us as artists. I want to show you what I made.
The creator.
Okay, yeah. And do you know anybody who paints?
Yeah, my dad painted.
All right, they're obnoxious, aren't they? Because if you go over to their house, what do you got to go do? You got to go look at their painting.
Well, my dad was self-deprecating.
Yeah, okay.
lunatic.
Well, come look on
He
there.
burned his paintings.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he got drunk one night and decided that he didn't like anything he produced, and most of them were of my mother.
Yeah. Well,
These beautiful. My mother said she broke her heart because there were these beautiful portraits of her.
Yeah.
She goes, "When I was young,
Oh.
and I was so pretty. Jeff, I was so pretty."
He cremated her before she was gone.
Yeah, exactly. And when she comes home one
Yeah.
day from work, and there they are, all burnt up in a heap or
that's
something.
awful. But most times you go look at their paint. Hey,
Right.
come let me show you what I've done. Let me show you what I've done. And that's God's invitation to us. Come, let me show you what I've done. Come enjoy with me.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a fascinating thing for me. So we began to preach on secondary subjects a lot.
Yeah.
Rather than the keeping the main thing the main thing.
Well, it's interesting.
AA does it better than the church does.
Well, it's funny you say that because when I started doing testimonies in the church, it was an AA testimony.
Yeah.
I said, and then I'd have people come over to me from the 12-step program and whisper, "Thank you."
Yeah.
And I go, "What do you mean?" And I found out that it wasn't welcome in certain. And I go, "Look." Then I started sharing. If I had walked into those rooms 38 years ago and they would have said, "You need Jesus," I'd have left.
Sure.
I had an animosity towards Christians and Jesus. So they gave me a space to where they said, "Look, find something larger than yourself." And that was the genesis of my faith. That was the seed. Okay, if you exist the way these people talk about you, then I'll find out. And I read a book called "The Book That Changed the World." It was written by an Indian.
Yeah, the Indian theologian about the Bible. Yeah.
Right, about the Bible. And what was fascinating about that was when Luther put the Bible into the hands of the masses. Literacy
the
rates,
vulgar language.
literacy shot through the roof because all of a sudden people who didn't care if they learned how to read or not wanted to go, I can read God's word. So now they're reading and they realize he's a creator. So now entrepreneurship shoots through the West because if God creates, I can create.
That's right.
So that's where businesses started coming from the masses. Fascinating. When they left the book behind, the Brits, when they were booted out of India, they left the Bible behind. And those areas are flourishing.
Sure.
Where the caste system, which is one of the most brutal systems. I didn't even realize this because I grew up on the karma. You get a parking place. Oh, thank you. I must have did something nice in another life. But then when you read about it in true practice, when you see a guy laying in his own waste, you go, well, I'd like to help you, but I can't because you did something in another life, and I would just mess up the penalties that you're paying in this. Right. I mean, it's really brutal.
By helping you, I would increase your suffering.
Well, that's it. So I'll keep my money to myself and the stuff I could do to help you. So Christianity really is the only one that says.
But the other thing about, there's a reason Baskin Robbins has 31 flavors of ice cream. Okay, what Baskin Robbins has decided is you're going to leave here with ice cream. We don't care. It's Rocky Road, vanilla chocolate. We don't care. You don't have some ice cream.
I'm triggered.
How people experience Jesus, deal with it's as individual as they are. And so we shouldn't be surprised that there are different denominations, just like there are different styles of clothes and everything else, because people need that. I need a different way of connecting. And it's interesting that it's not unusual for people to go through their life to change denominations.
Really?
Based on certain needs in their family. You won't find a decent Presbyterian church that's not made up of Baptists.
Well, it's funny you say
I'm serious.
But it's funny you say
that. You
that
guys
because
get them in the seat.
We do. We have babies better than anybody.
you knew Scotty Smith, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so Scotty, I'm on the road doing churches for the first time. And everybody's asking me, what denomination are you? It's Christ Community. So I grabbed Scotty in the hall one day and I go, what denomination are we? He goes, who's asking? Because you know him, right? So anyway, I said, everybody.
Yeah.
He goes, what do you mean everybody? So I told him, I'm on the road. He goes, I think we're Presbyterians. Don't hold me to that. He says, don't get involved in that. And I said, okay. I said, because again, I was brand new and ignorant. And he said, stay ignorant because it's really just noise. And he saw me reading an apologetic book by Ravi Zacharias. And he goes, you like that? I go, oh, I love it. He goes, careful. I went down that rabbit hole for 20 years, and learning how to defend my faith.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, there's always questions.
Yeah.
Always. In the end, it's faith.
Yeah.
And by grace. So, and he was right. About a year or two after that, I just realized it was just really circular. I kept reading the same stuff over and over again.
You rarely meet a person who was argued into the faith.
Right.
They're loved into the faith.
Right.
And brought into the family. The family has them sit down, and this family loves each other, and they go, oh, that's what I want. Well, that's the Jesus thing. So
yeah.
That.
I hear something. I think
it's Jesus now. All right.
No. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I mean,
I'm just glad I heard
wasn't
it.
him.
I hear things.
It was real.
I'll ask people when the phone rings in my show. I go, we all heard that, right? Because I got ringing in my ears and things.
He's just glad it wasn't his phone because usually,
usually my phone rings.
And
it's my buddy Ron. So
I got called one time on Sunday morning. I don't know, phone rings, it's a spam call. And I look at the church and I go, I work 1 hour a week. And everybody knows when I work. Why in the world would you call me?
Tammy called me. Tammy's called me in the middle of a show. And said, what are you doing? And I'll have it on speaker. And the whole crowd will go, hey, Tammy. And she goes, "Oh my gosh, you're working." And I go, well, that's why I left the house. Babe. Remember when I went to the airport, I got on a plane, I flew, Yeah. And
He'll just leave his house and come here, and she'll call on the podcast. And it's always adorable.
What are you doing?
You just saw me an hour ago.
And she says, I don't listen to her,
Yeah.
Let me ask you something. So while we're on this, we mentioned the 12 steps. How should the church deal with addiction? Are they equipped to? I know that Celebrate Recovery is a kind of modeled after the 12-step program. I went to a few of those. I'd rather be in AA. Again, you're talking about what fits, many flavors, and I prefer the 12-step the way I started with it. So, are they equipped? Is this something within the purview of the church, or should it be handled by professional people? Or
let me give you a qualified answer. One, it's important to remember that AA started in the church.
Right.
See, my experience with AA started backwards because I became a big fan of Samuel Shoemaker, who was Bill W.'s pastor.
Right.
Okay, so the first handful of steps are from Samuel Shoemaker.
Yeah.
Samuel Shoemaker has a poem called An Apology for His Ministry, a defense of his ministry called I Stand by the Door. That is the most powerful thing that I've ever read. He stands by the door to help those who are grasping for the handle to find it, and he helps them go in. He says, I know that there are people who go in and never come back out and that kind of stuff, but that's not me. I stand here by the door. And when I read that, I broke into tears because I said, this guy gets me. And so I became a huge Samuel Shoemaker fan. And of course, he was instrumental. So that led me to the study of AA and this kind of thing. Samuel Shoemaker and Bill W. had a falling out when Bill W. wanted to take AA out of church. Until then, it had been part of the church.
Right. Yeah.
And that was they got back together, but that was a point of contention for them.
Now, was Bill W. I've read a number of things, and again, everything foggy. Was he a Bible believing, or was he more of an agnostic?
I got from my reading. Now, I haven't read the sentence that says this or that. Is that he was a believer at some level with that, because he carried on a long conversation about AA and how AA works, and because they began to reach so many unchurched people and atheists and all that, that's when they modified the God language. It was God was in there originally.
Well, that was it. I was in New York not that long ago, probably in the 90s. So, well, it's 30 years, but I was there, and they had a meeting called the God meeting.
Yeah.
And I remember asking the guy after the meeting, we were talking, why is it called the God meeting? He goes, because in New York, God isn't welcome in the 12-step program.
Right.
And I was like, are you kidding me? I mean, again, I had no problem with it. I was an atheist when I went in, but I grew up around Christians and God.
It started in the church. We should claim it. We should support it. But AA gets really, really raw.
Yeah.
And real. And because of that, a lot of churches don't know what to do with it. I was when Christ Community had a seminar when we first moved here. It was a weekend get together with men on anger. Tammy goes, "You should go. Your anger is a gift to the world. You know anger." And I go, "You're right, I do." So I sit there, I raise my hand, and I share my story. And part of that was I got sober because I beat my 6-month-old son in a crib. I mean, wasn't something I was proud of, but it was part of my story. Anyway, nobody would sit with me. Yeah.
So the pastor comes over and he goes, "You're a 12-step guy, right?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, we could tell. We're not that honest here."
Yeah. Okay. See, that's
and it's funny, but it's not.
Yeah, that's what happens. I'm in my training, and in an addiction center, we had group, and then group broke for prayer. Well, the guy next to me gets on his face in the seat of the chair, and I can hear him because he's praying louder than he thinks he is, and it's dang it, but he didn't say dang it.
Yeah.
Jesus, this stuff doesn't say stuff. It's hard.
Yeah.
All right. My first thing is you can't talk to Jesus like that.
Right.
You can't.
Yeah.
You know, this is dear Jesus, Lord.
Right.
No. But
Yeah.
and I think, Lord have mercy on me, a sinner. I think Jesus heard that prayer a lot faster. So yes.
Well, Jesus also knows your heart.
Yeah,
so
we ought to.
you can gloss over, but he goes, "Come on, speak to me."
Yeah. Let's.
I used to love the disciple. Was it the apostle with Robert Duvall?
Oh yeah.
The way he prayed.
Yeah.
Oh, it's me, Sonny Lord. Oh boy, I murdered another one.
And it's like I would tell the church. I said, "What are you going to tell Jesus he doesn't know?"
Right.
Hey, when I had a problem. Well, when did that happen?
Well, it's like what Peter said. I'm not going to deny it.
Yeah.
I just imagine him going, right.
Yeah, right.
3 times.
Yeah.
So
For the intense interrogation of a teenage girl. That's what broke him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What was the group?
The Oxford group?
The Oxford group. I read that book.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a group of young college kids that took basically the first 6 steps, I think, around to high society in New York. And they had some traction leading people,
I struggled with Celebrate Recovery. I have struggled with addiction, never drugs and alcohol, but some other addictions or issues or trauma. And when I would go to Celebrate Recovery, it was a very similar thing where it was like, I'm just having an issue with my mother-in-law right now. And the fact that you were beaten as a child is kind of a lot. So if we could bring that down. And it was the same struggle.
Yeah, and
part
for
of
me,
that,
it wasn't addictive specific. I have alcohol and drugs, and I understand addiction's addiction. But if your addiction's food,
it's a different
thing.
experience.
And when someone says, "I know what you're talking," when Tammy said to me once, "You look like you want a drink," I said, "I'd suck it from your veins." I want someone to laugh.
That's right.
And understanding. Oh, boy, I know that.
Yeah.
Or like I used to say in New York, a guy would raise his hand and go, "I stabbed my wife this morning," and 7 other guys would go, "Oh, I remember when I did that." There was no judgment. No judgment at all. So it was a good, safe place to be broken.
Right.
Really safe.
Yeah.
And that God had a chance to be God.
Yeah.
And to lead me through his grace.
Sadly, too many churches have gotten to the place where you have to have it all together before you get here.
Yeah.
Oh, Yancey said that in one of his books. He was standing out in front of a church in Chicago. Yeah. And a prostitute's walking by. He goes, "Hey, you want to come in? I'll pray with you." She goes, "Why would I go in there?"
Yeah.
He said, "That's the biggest indictment on the church."
Right.
For that. But how do you... It was funny. I remember when Scotty, I think it was Scotty. I've been to so many churches because they boot me out every other month. I got to go to a new place. Just when they get to know me, I have to leave. The real me.
Well, it takes a while to work through the background check.
So I think it was. We need to reach out to the homosexual community. It was when AIDS was still front and center. And somebody raised their hand and go, "Where are they going to sit?" And he said, "Right next to the adulterers and the tax cheats." He says, "You forget I get you in my office." Yeah, they'll be right at home here. Yeah.
Well, that's like, a guy asked me one time, he said, getting around the AIDS, and I was saying, he said, we're going to let gays in the church. And I said, "Well, what are you going to do to the ones who are here?"
Yeah.
And he said, we do the math.
Yeah, exactly.
The percentage is gay. We got a certain amount of people here. The percentage is we got it.
Right.
And I really knew that what he wanted to ask me was, "Do they sit on my row?" That was what he wanted to know.
Yeah, because they might sneeze.
They sit like on my row.
And I'd turn gay, because that was the thing when I was a kid. What happened to Pete? He turned gay. Explain that to me.
A bunch of years ago.
He's out pumping iron. He's all of a sudden it's just, "Hello." I don't know. Anyway, I know it's a stereotype. Don't email me. All right, email Mike.
Several years ago, I was talking to the church missions guy at Brentwood, and I said, "Find us an AIDS ministry. Nobody will take us seriously if we're not doing something with AIDS."
Well, I was on with SA, the Sex Anonymous, and I was going to a meeting. The church in Gallatin, maybe, they bought a house at the end of their property, and they turned it over to a recovery thing, and part of it was sex addiction. And it was the first church in Nashville that I had heard about where they were talking about it from the pulpit. We have this issue, and it's literally burning the church to the ground from the pulpit down, and a lot of them.
I have some men, friends who do men's work, and they no longer ask if the guys are addicted to pornography. They walk in assuming every man in the place is addicted to pornography. That's the working assumption.
That's a good starting point. And it was growing. It was a long drive for me from Fairview. And I would do men's ministries on the road. I would do comedy for these weekends, and there would be these women from the church standing outside. I thought this was kind of closed off so that people had a safe space and they go, these are women who just want to know whose husbands are there. And I go, well, where's the police? They don't have the right to do that. I mean, there has to be some anonymity. Yeah. Sex addiction is where I feel alcoholism was in the 40s. Right. There's a stigma attached to it. And when I had told Tammy that I was going to get help for it, she said, "You're not an addict." And I go, "You're not making that call." I said, "I don't care if it's every month, every 3 months, whatever it is. I slip and I fall and I'm tired of it. And every time I do, it puts a layer of between me and you that and I said, I have enough of a relationship with my Savior to where it's not comfortable, it's not fun, it's not enjoyable, it taps the shame in me. So I want to put a stop to it if I can. I didn't want to have to tell her about it. But then I realized I got to create a whole new set of lies. Where are you going? Oh, I'm going to Bible study.
Well, that's what the addiction does.
It is.
It just creates all of these lies.
Right. And the shame that's connected to it. Because there's no other word to explain. It's almost like the registry for sex offenders. My son had a girlfriend. He was 16. He was 17. She was 16. On his 18th birthday, I sat him down and I said, "You now go to jail for what you did last night." And I said, "I told you I wanted you to hold off and wait. I mean, that's the ideal. Yeah. I'm not naive. But now, if she gets a bug up her rear end or her parents decide you're on the registry, and 20 years from now, nobody's going to ask the details. Nobody's going to ask, and you're going to go, well, I was 18, she was 16. Oh, okay, you can come into my group here. Right. No, they
we'll
just
hire you. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, and we had a barbecue place open up and a food truck where we live. And I was so thrilled.
I think say prayers answered. They drive it right up to the front door.
And my son comes over one day and he goes, "It turns out the guy's on the registry." And I go, "I guarantee I'm at his demo." I'm safe. I'm gonna keep my granddaughters away. But it turned out, again, there was a big controversy on the gossip page. Right. And half the town was ready to string him up, and the other half said, "Well, I looked into it. It was 30 years ago." Right. And he was a school teacher. He's no longer teaching kids. I mean, he did his time, all of that. So at what point does this Christian community extend enough grace to a guy who's done his penance? He's done his penance. And
but does he smoke a good brisket?
That was the thing.
Good barbecue can cover a lot of sins.
Well, that's it. That's the way I look at it. That's the way I look at it. But it's how do you, as a pastor, one of the reasons I love our pastor is that he calls the men out, like you said. He just assumes we're out. And we had Pastor Shane put out an email to all the men. If you're struggling with this, we're going to do a seminar, blah, blah, blah. We're bringing some people in. We're going to look into pure desire out of Washington. Ted Roberts' thing, I think it was. Anyway, he got no emails back. So he gets in the pulpit on Sunday. Not one of you men in this church. I didn't get the email. I would have responded immediately and said, yeah, it's we're still, work in progress and all of that. And, but I fortunately have a wife, again, being open and honest about it.
Yeah.
And she said, I said, you need to put a thing on my phone or whatever. She goes, I'm not married. I'm going to be married to a guy I can't trust. Fix it. You know how to fix it. You've done it with other things, so fix it, and that's a blessing because other women walk out on their men, and I don't know how you, again, it's an individual betrayal.
Right.
I mean, there's so much that comes with it.
What was the guy medicating?
Right. Well, that's what it's coming down to now.
Yeah.
It's an intimacy disorder.
Yeah.
And that's hard for me to fess up to.
Mm-hmm.
But when I told Tammy I was going to go to an intensive, maybe in October, I'm thinking about it. She said, why? And I said, because I've realized that it'll never get better between us if I don't get to the root cause. It's an intimacy issue. I want to be intimate with you. I mean, truly intimate with you. And whatever that looks like at 70 years old, whether it's holding hands or whether it's, eye contact. I mean, all this stuff. I said, I'm willing to do the work now. I wasn't. It was frightening to dig into to this, It's like I said to the audience the other night, I go, my fear is what's in here starts just coming. Good. Trust me, I'm going to jail. I mean, I'm sure you have, knowing you a little bit, I mean, this, you gave me the diabetic missing a foot line. I mean, it just came out of you. It just came out of your head. So,
well, my mom, when in her Alzheimer's, those little gatekeepers, they keep you from. Oh no, they were gone. But she just.
Yeah.
And my mom, hardcore Southern Baptist, did not think women should wear pants to church. That just torqued her.
You mean a good woman?
A good one, yeah. Lord, she started.
Hair had to be a
she
certain
cussed me out.
Yeah.
Really?
Cussed me out,
But did she do it in a skirt?
No, well, yeah, but she didn't. She didn't know how to cuss. So the verbs and nouns didn't agree. So I had to tell her, no, Mom, that's plural. Okay, and so you're doing singular here. That's one, and so we got to get this thing.
No, I definitely.
It's always nice to interrupt the one train of thought she's got going. The one stream of consciousness that's connected. Shut up, I'm working on this.
What I've definitely learned is I am such a devout Christian if I don't see or talk to anyone for the whole day. I would do great in a cave, but the second, whatever's up, it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's so terrible. It's definitely, like you were saying, it's being a believer, you knew you were called your whole life, but you struggled with obedience. I struggle with obedience in some of the same places we're talking about. I talk about sex addiction on here. I think there's not very many women that talk about it publicly, and a lot of those church places you can't really go because I always joke, speaking of the monster in here, is you go there as a woman, and it's all these men and they're like, we got fresh made. This one. And I'm like, I'm the same monster. You're a buffet too. Like, what are we playing here? Yeah, but it isn't a very good, a safe environment for women, and finding whatever lust struggles that the world is having. But it's so hard to, even as a woman, like I feel my heart breaks for men, because I'd hate to say it, but it's like you open up Instagram and it's there. Even if you don't follow any of it, it's on the sponsored ads, it's on TV. Like, I'll sit down and I'll think,
anything you fat finger on a keyboard.
Well, here's what my analogy was when I first started.
Anything.
Starting to recover from this, and they would quote Abraham, "Starve your eyes." Oh, really? Okay. Don't look at bananas, but you walk into the gift shop at the airport and there's bananas on every shelf. Don't look at apples, and then walk into the next store and the whole store is just apples cut wall to wall. How do you starve your eyes in this culture? And when I went to AA, somebody gave me a drink one night at the club I was working, a vodka orange juice. I ordered orange juice. That's when I quit ordering fruit juice. And he put vodka in it, thinking he was doing me a favor. I spit it across the bar. I go to my meeting, and I go, did I lose my sobriety date? As if that should matter, but it did. I had over a year, and I was, and they go, what are you doing in a bar? And I said, I make a living in a bar. I'm a comedian. They go, well, you have to quit your job. And I looked at him and said, I didn't come here for career advice. I came here to learn how to live in a world that's loaded with alcohol and not imbibe. And if you people can't help me, I could save myself 4 or 5 hours a week. Teach me how to live with this all around me. And they did. And with this, it's different because it can be done in my room. It can be done in a hotel room by myself. Well, I used to go to the hotels when they had the movies. They don't have them much anymore. And I'd go shut the movies off. There's a kid in the room, and they go, I'm looking on the register. I go, yeah, I'm the kid, And it's everywhere, like you just said. I mean, it's hard. And I got to be honest.
First of all, take the necessary easy steps that you know to do.
Right.
Take the movies out of the room and
the filters on the phone and the iPad.
Do those natural things. The other thing, Henry Cloud has a book called 9 Things You Simply Must Do. And one of the chapters is you can't make everybody happy, so make the right people mad. So I love that. That's my dude.
Yeah.
I'm okay with you being mad. Yeah, I'm fine with that. So you can go on. But the last one is play it forward. Okay, so when you have a decision in front of you or a temptation, okay, what happens if I do this?
Oh, see, that was what helped keep me.
Yeah, exactly.
I had one of my first sponsors.
Yeah.
I was whining, I did a lot, about not being able to drink. I was 3 or 4 months sober. And he said, well, back up. Nobody's going to stop you. Think it through.
That's right.
Yeah.
Where's he going to get you?
You almost lost your wife. You almost lost your family. You almost lost your life. So that's not going to change. Those dangers will still be there.
So would you want an affair relationship with this woman that you're looking at? Okay, we'll play it forward. What's the conversation going to be like when you tell Jeannie?
Yeah.
What's going to happen when you sit down with your boys
Right.
and tell them you can't stay here anymore? Okay, that's where it goes.
I'm able to see Tammy's reaction.
Yeah. Oh, me too.
The crying and then to the anger, to the betrayal. I mean, I can work myself up into sobbing.
Yeah, and the boys would cut me off.
Yeah. That happened to a friend of mine.
Yeah, that you broke a promise like this.
It took 3 years for his kids to speak to him.
I preached on adultery one time, and I told the church, I said, I know you're smirking at me going, Jesus will forgive me. Maybe so. Your kids won't.
Yeah, the earth is a different animal. Yeah. These grace-filled beings you raised. Not so much full of grace when you betray mama.
Do you mind if we do the audience questions? Would that be okay?
Sure.
They're not crazy. They're not too wild.
Well, before we do that, let me ask this one. What do you wish people understood about pastors that they rarely do? This might help some people who...
Oh, gosh, where to start? Most of the guys I know are trying to do their best. Now, you have the stories of the predators. You have the stories of the power-hungry guys and that kind of stuff. That is a very small percentage of the guys. Most of the guys are like your pastor. He knows them. He loves them. His heart breaks for the men who didn't. You send out this email. Nobody responds.
Right.
Well, by the time he gets to the pulpit Sunday, he preaches hellfire and brimstone. But what you didn't see was him weeping because he checked his email.
Right.
Maybe even looking for your.
Right.
You didn't get it, or I don't know. But he had certain people that he's burdened with, and they didn't.
Right.
So he knows they're in the middle of the struggle, and he can't get to them.
Right.
And that breaks his heart. That scares him. Okay, if they're in the middle of his addiction, here's what's going to happen.
Right.
How do I? Well, by the time he gets to the pulpit Sunday, he's full prophet, and I'm gonna hold you over here like a marshmallow, but I'm gonna get your attention. I think that's what most of them don't understand is most of them are doing their best in an impossible situation. There's no way in the world any one person can fulfill all the expectations of any size congregation.
Right.
You know, I wish he was taller. I wish he was shorter. I wish he would do this. I wish he would do that. And most of them aren't things of significance.
Right.
They're just personal styles kind of thing.
Well, that's usually what the complaint is: the music's too loud.
Yeah.
You know, or it's
And I actually tell the church, I said, they don't sing my favorite song either.
right.
You know, you think I'd have some pull around here, but I don't. You know.
Well, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
I thought you had some clout.
Yeah, but, you know, I just, you know, I'd open up every worship service between home, Alabama. That was, you know, what I grew up with. That was where it is, man. And I said, y'all don't ever do that.
Yeah.
Now, there are some churches in Alabama that do, and I would be, I'd be very...
Roll Tide.
Yeah, that's it. And the second thing is you don't understand the burdens this guy carries. Okay, you come and you tell me you got a problem at work, or you're angry at somebody. You come and tell me that somebody hit you or whatever. I've got all of these stories.
Right.
I can't do anything with.
Yeah, that would be like at some point you'd think you'd almost just go, "What do you want me to do about it?"
Yeah. And there's that. I can't do anything, but I can't tell anybody.
Yeah.
You
Scott
know,
Peck's book, Road Less Traveled, he talked about trying to help a woman who was on an army base.
Mm-hmm.
And he realized after I don't know how many sessions, she just came to complain.
Yeah. Yeah.
She wouldn't do anything. He would offer all these solutions to her loneliness.
Yeah, most people just want to.
There's PX where the women are meeting, blah blah blah. There's all their husbands are off to work. You know,
they don't want to get well.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't want to get well. They want to feel better in the moment.
Yeah, and that's why I could never pastor a church, because at some point I would just go.
Well, and the number
would come out.
The number of unbelievers who are in church who want to tell you what the church should be doing.
Yeah.
But they don't show any evidence in their own.
Does it happen much where you had like atheists standing by the door trying to convert people out? Because I was at Denton Bible one Sunday, and Tommy and I were talking after the service.
You don't have that. What you do have are people who are closet agnostics, and that this may be, maybe not be, but if you want to come out in the real world,
right,
then there's a different set of rules out here in the real world. Like I live on Mars during the week, you know.
Yeah.
Those are the people that we just go to church on Sunday because we just always went to church on Sunday.
Well, we go to church on Sunday, or I have some kind of cultural power because I come here.
Oh yeah, like gross networking.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sad.
So.
Yeah, I just would not go. I wouldn't. I'd rather be on the golf course.
Because you're dealing with a different addiction than they are.
Yeah.
And the way they feed their addiction is they go and they bully people in the church.
Have you ever had to ask someone to leave your church?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I had a good friend of mine is that's one of the questions. You should get to that about women teaching.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, get to that one because a good friend of mine's wife was a Methodist pastor. And she started a street church in Middletown, Ohio, and brought in those people we talked about that mainstream churches don't want in because they smelled, and then they saw what she did. They gave her a church, and then she got hit by a woke member who rallied a bunch of other people together, and they asked her to leave the church.
Well, anybody who has spent any time in the church will tell you that if women did not show up, the church would fall.
Absolutely.
Would gone.
Yeah.
So this thing about women not teaching and all of that is the biggest waste of time and effort that I've seen, because if the women don't show up.
That's funny, because when I read Tammy the question this morning, she said, Without the women, this whole
The whole thing
would collapse.
the whole
And
thing
I go,
would go.
you're right. I mean, it's
Because
yeah.
and one of the best things about my growing up was my mother was stronger than ammonia, and
That's
so dealing with her was the best training. Because women would come to me in the church and jump on me, and I'm thinking, my mother whip you with one hand tied behind her back. I'm not worried.
Is that something
you?
that goes on in the Baptist convention? I guess I'm not super familiar. Of course, in the Orthodox faith, women aren't clergy.
Yeah, no. Southern Baptists do not do that. Now, let me say this, and let me tell you where I've come down on this. Women are called of God and should use their gifts just as any other follower does. The difference comes when you can't have a woman to teach men to be men. And that's one of the issues we have in our culture.
Oh, absolutely.
And this the tribal thing you talked about.
Yeah.
And where our culture has gotten into trouble is we have too many women who are trying to teach men how to be men.
Yeah, that rings home for me as a single mom because it's that Iron John thing, the rite of passage that I can't. I mean, I've taught him how to change oil and work on a carburetor, but I can't teach him how to be a man. And then also it puts me in a super uncomfortable position because I want to not be the disciplinary. I want to be the nurturer. I want to pick him up when he falls.
As good as my boys were, there were several times I had to sit them down and say, let's forget she's your mom. Let's talk about how you talk to my wife.
When my boy, I caught him disrespecting. I said, you do not disrespect my wife. And I said, when you get married, you'll understand, but you will not disrespect my wife. Now, never mind the fact that it's your mother and the fifth commandment.
That's right, yeah.
But we're talking about, there's no way I'm going to sit by and allow you to talk to my wife the way you just talked to her.
Just did.
And the look on his face, it was like, yeah, but they need that.
And if you make me choose, son, I will miss you.
Right. Well, that was when I asked him to leave.
Yeah.
I asked him to leave. I said, you can't live here anymore. And he goes, what are you talking about? I said, it's time to move. So you can join the army like you planned on it.
Yeah.
Or you can find somewhere else to go, but you can't live here. You can't get along.
He was 6.
You can't get along. 7. Come on. Yeah. But it's funny you say that. And I was a younger brother who got abused by my older brother. And I caught my oldest punching my youngest out of no reason, just walking by. I snatched him up and I lifted him up to the wall. And the look, the terror. And I said, scary, isn't it? When someone bigger than you.
Yeah.
You don't lay hands on another human being without their permission.
You know,
when your brother says, hey, you can punch me, then punch him, knock him out. But that's important.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's important.
You know why little boys wrestle with their dads?
No.
To lose.
To lose.
To lose.
Yeah.
I need to know there's somebody who is stronger than me.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, there's times I tear up. I see these like big biker guys with the beards and the tats, and they got this little boy or girl in their arms, man. Yeah. And I think how safe that kid must feel.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because it was years into, adulthood that I realized my father was so damaged. He never held us. I asked my sister, did you ever sit in Dad's lap? She was, no, she mentioned it, no. And I didn't realize it. He was so damaged, probably at the church, because he was a church-going teen, and then he wasn't. And then he was just, and that's a question I wanted to ask you. About salvation. Again, I'm trying to wiggle my father into heaven. If you've been damaged by God's people, by Jesus' followers, and Jesus knows your heart, and that wound is so deep.
The reason we're told not to judge is you never get the whole story.
Right.
Okay. I may look at you as you've come off the streets, you have that homeless smell, and I'll go quick to judge and say this person is a loser. If I knew her story,
right,
she may be my hero.
Right. The fact that she's still breathing.
The fact that, you started here and you're here, Holy cow, tell me your story. And that's the reason we're told not to judge. We're told to witness and bear witness of what we know that Christ has done in our own life.
Right. Keep it personal.
And nobody loves your dad more than Jesus does.
Yeah.
Or has walked with him.
God, I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. Just broke my heart. You know, the biggest change and commitment in my life was at 40. I said yes to Jesus, and my father never asked. And I had all this guilt because should I have just forced myself into his?
No. Jesus never forced himself in anyone else.
I just kept waiting for him to ask why. Why? And anyway, we went to his grave, and I'm trying to backdoor him in because I think if your wound was so deep by people who followed Jesus, does Jesus know that wound and go, no wonder you don't want to?
Well, yeah.
No wonder you don't.
That was part of the wounds that put him on the cross.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Jesus was crucified by very religious people.
Yeah. He did have a special
it was
in his heart for those people.
It wasn't the outsiders who couldn't get into church. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there's an old racist joke told.
Good. Let's get this show.
Now, hold on. You have to understand, I grew up in Alabama. I grew up in Alabama.
Right.
I remember the first black player for the University of Alabama. I remember.
My buddy just did the documentary.
How that changed.
On Bear Bryant.
Yeah. And man, that was part of us. And I've gone through all of that of how you never have a black man playing a quarterback. They weren't smart enough.
Right.
To now we've got a handful of black quarterbacks in the history of Alabama who will never have to buy dinner in Alabama again. You know, facing all these guys, Alabama fans will take care of them. But the old joke was a black man's walking down the street on Sunday morning crying, and Jesus walked up to him and said, "Why are you crying?" He said, "Well, see that big white church, they won't let me in." And Jesus said, "Don't worry about it, son. They won't let me in either."
I like that. Yeah.
Shane Gillis has this brilliant joke. I wouldn't recommend watching his special. It's super dirty. But Alabama football. He's like, he tells that story of the first black man quarterback, Alabama football. And he's like, first of all, these transgendered guys, they have the wrong thing. All they need is a good quarterback in Alabama, and
it's over. It is over.
Yeah.
It is over.
It's one of my favorite jokes. It's written so beautifully. Okay, so
Richard, who wrote the
school question was Richard. Does the prohibition of women teaching men in the church apply to women teaching in Sunday school classes today? Was his question.
Well, obviously not, because they're doing it across the thing.
Everywhere.
No, where I would really draw the line about the women teachers is you have brilliant Bible scholars and that kind of stuff. The issue is women teaching boys how to be men.
Right.
That's the issue.
Okay, that's your answer, Richard. Okay, Cindy says, for centuries, this question I love. I love Cindy because I think Cindy is asking for a friend. And I think Cindy might got herself into a predicament.
Yeah.
For centuries, couples have lived together without legal or religious consent. Historically, the church condemned this. Today, more and more seniors, as Cindy, are living together with all the benefits of marriage, but often they cannot afford to wed. Many widows would lose their husband's pension or Social Security if they remarry. What is the church saying about these couples? How do you think Jesus would respond to them?
One, it's a stupid law that gets people in this position. Second, biblical marriage is not something that is done by the state, and the church has abdicated the role of marriage to the state. And when you want the state to validate something, then you get all the state's rules. Okay. Biblical marriage is a man and a woman who commit their lives in their community of faith.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're the most Orthodox Baptist I've ever met. I love this guy.
listen. And I tell people when they sign the marriage license,
Yeah.
that is a state thing.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with your marriage or whether or not it's a godly marriage.
Right.
This gives you the right to sue each other in a state court. That's all that does.
So would you say to Cindy, have a wedding in the church?
Yeah.
Don't sign a paper for the state. Oh, that's a brilliant answer.
I don't owe the state anything.
That's beautiful. Way to go.
Right.
It's none of their stinking business.
That's funny you say that because you're literally are signing a contract with the state. I didn't even ever looked at it that way.
Yeah, because it's a state interest to have homes that raise good children who'll get good jobs and pay good taxes. That's how we got sucked into that.
Right. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, because when I read the verse after Tammy and our marriage was splitting, I loved and I used to say this in the church, whether you believe it to be the actual word of God, divine word by a divine being, or you believe it to be a metaphor, there's no better description of what happened to me and Tammy than ripping flesh. It hurt. It was so painful.
Yeah.
And so you're right. What the church has joined, what God has joined, and the state, that's a great answer. And I read that thing 5 times. I couldn't come up with it.
Yeah.
Go get married in a
That's
church
brilliant.
and just don't sign this stupid piece of paper.
Because it's a sacrament of the church, not a legal obligation. Yeah.
That's great.
That's brilliant. Okay. This one is from Dana, and it's a little silly, but it's a terrible joke. Is it true that the way we get holy water is to boil the hell out of it?
Yeah.
Oh, such a dumb one-liner, but it made me laugh.
Oh, I didn't see that question. That's funny.
It made me laugh for sure. Why do so many churches require baptism when the criminal on the cross went to heaven? Faith is mentioned by Jesus several times as key to salvation. We love each other because we have faith, not to earn it, but because we're thankful for it.
Right. And we technically don't require baptism.
The Baptist Church?
The Baptist Church.
That's a funny name.
Now, let me qualify that. It's not necessary for salvation. For church membership is a different deal. Okay. Now, Jeannie and I were married on June 14th, 1980. We've just celebrated 45 years. Yay! And I negotiated another year.
Good for you.
So I have to sit down and negotiate the next year.
Everything in life is a negotiation.
Yes, this is the wedding band she gave me 45 years ago. Now, I've always found it kind of interesting that of all of the paraphernalia that goes on with a wedding, and Jeannie's ring is a lot more expensive than this. This is relatively very, very cheap. Okay. But when I see this ring, I do not see gold. I do not see a circle. I see Jeannie. Okay? If I lost this ring, I would tear this room apart trying to find it. Even though it's worth $200 maybe. It's just because that's what it means to me. Because I have the stories, I have the symbolism, all of that. That's baptism. Okay? Christ found me. I came to Christ. And the way I tell you that is I try to find something to give you the words that I don't have. And so what I want to tell you is I was dead. I was a walking dead man, and I was buried.
Right.
Okay? And Christ has called me back to new life. And what I would want for anyone who is following Christ, I would want you to have that testimony. In the early church, your baptism was your testimony.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And
I just baptized my 11-year-old granddaughter.
Yeah.
I got to put her down, and she said to me as we were walking to meet with the pastor afterwards, she said, "What does this mean now?"
Yeah.
And I said, "We're not done.
Yeah.
I want to see you again." And I said, "Look around. That's your new family."
Yeah. And there is a humiliation of baptism. Nobody looks good with it. And you come up like a...
Oh, wait a minute, man.
Like
that's the beauty of being bald.
That's right, yeah.
I look just as good.
So,
I got to run to the restroom. real quick.
All right.
That's an hour and 41.
Yeah.
I made it 40 extra
All
minutes.
right.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you, wow.
I love it. Are we back to recording?
Yeah.
We're back to recording. Okay, great. I wanted to ask about your new book.
Preaching in a post-truth world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you give me
In
a
a post what?
truth
Truth.
world?
Post-truth
Truth world.
Oh,
Every pastor stands up on Sunday morning and goes, "This is the truth of God," and we believe it with everything we have, and we assume our congregation believes that,
right.
and our congregation is going, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, I have heard 20 truth claims just on the way into church this morning, and so they're balancing the claims of Christ versus all the other truth claims that they've had. And so it's very much like preaching again in the first century.
Well, it's funny you say that because I used to do a thing where we had the age of industry, we have the age of technology,
Right.
and then I thought after probably 2015, when the orange man came down the escalator, we started living in the age of hyperbole because it was all about clicks and likes and whatever. And I had said, I was just on an interview recently, and I said, I really think we're living in the age of Pilate now, when Jesus walked out. And he said, what is truth?
Exactly. And it's the
What is
same.
truth?
And how do you know? And how do you validate it?
Right.
And how all of that.
Yeah, that's
exactly right.
That's the
So it's how to preach to a congregation. If you're in England, they will tell you to mind the gap. When you're on the subway, mind the gap.
Yeah.
And it's just telling the pastor, you need to mind this gap between what you believe about to be the truth and what your people believe in reality. And everybody would tell you they believe the Word of God, but how they live it is a different deal.
Well, I've seen where atheists said, if you really believe what you believe, why aren't you shouting on street corners to the condemned?
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
there's some validation.
Yeah.
To
The old guy who heard the gospel said, if I really believed that, I'd crawl across England on glass if I had to get that word out.
Yeah, that was part of my testimony. I had heard that. I'd crawl on my knees. Tommy said that. Nelson said, I won't walk across this room to tell you about my religion, Christianity, but I'd crawl through broken glass to hell and back and tell you about the love of a Savior who went to a cross for you, you know. And that's a powerful metaphor, but it's also true. If you for Mel Gibson, for all of his flaws in life, he certainly portrayed the crucifixion
brutally.
Yeah, it's to the point where you can't show it to your 11-year-old granddaughter, but I'd love to. This is what he did for you.
Yeah.
If that doesn't register with you, I mean, think about it. I mean, yeah, it's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
And we do live in a culture that is not welcoming to you telling me what. And I'm careful to keep everything first person.
Yeah. And I think that's key.
This is my story.
This is key. This is my story.
And you can take it for what it's worth. I got into AA ultimately because of an actor named Daniel J. Giovanni. Remember? Yeah. He was on the Tonight Show talking about his alcoholism. And I'm finishing off the last of a half gallon of vodka in my living room watching this. And I just started sobbing. I called my dad the next day and said, I need help. And that's because somebody went on national television.
Yeah, no idea.
No idea.
Had no idea.
Yeah.
I had a buddy of mine when Jim Baker and all that and all his mess happened. He said, it doesn't surprise me he stole all that money. He doesn't surprise me that he had women on the side. He said, here's what surprises me. There was a truck driver who stopped in a Motel 6, crawled into bed, flipped on the cable. Jimmy preached, Tammy sang, and he got saved. Went home. He quit drinking, doesn't beat his wife anymore. He said, that boy's at church. He said, now you explain that to me.
I thought you were going to say truck driver sat in a hotel room and wrote him a check.
No, well, explain that too. But you don't.
You don't know. That's what I always said. People ask, what do you call your ministry? I go, it took me a while to get my head around because people would hand me money.
Yeah.
They just go, here's for your ministry. I go, I'm a comic.
Yeah.
I'm a comedian. And I said, I'm a seed thrower. I just throw them out and I leave town.
Yeah.
I said, I may not until that day comes and I'm on the other side and people come over to me and go, I saw your little dog and pony show in the middle of nowhere, Michigan, and you know, for whatever reason. But I love the way God set it up that we can't remain silent.
Mm-mm.
You can't.
Mm-mm.
There's no way that I could go my life without at least mentioning that transformation, that change. And Carol, the same thing.
Well, there's so
I
much.
can't imagine the kind of person you were, because you're such a sweetheart. And
Yeah, so much
my
of our
granddaughter
life, the
just
answer.
absolutely loves you.
Yeah.
And children have a detector.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And she just clings all over Carolyn.
Well, that's definitely the Holy Spirit, because whatever else is under here is
I
not
know.
good.
Well, see, that's the way I feel.
Yeah, the
If you
answer
knew
to
me
so
the
many
way
of
he knew me.
my questions is Jesus. You know,
Yeah.
how did you? Well, that was a Jesus thing. You know, how did you know? I don't know. Jesus thing. So
I love it.
How did you? Because I could tell there's a humility to you that doesn't come. It's natural. So how did you? Because I guarantee you had thousands of people over the years coming. You saved me. You saved.
Oh
me.
yeah, but you have to understand
Yeah.
what they're saying.
Yeah.
You know. But oh, that's the best sermon ever. What they're saying is, I stayed awake the whole time. You know,
I made the whole 45.
I just, you know, you had a point. I followed it. The expectation of preaching is so low. When you say, oh, come on, man, you're preaching now. That's not a compliment.
It's funny you say, because I used to listen to George Carlin.
Mm-hmm.
And when George Carlin would get to a certain point, I'd go, all right, now you're preaching.
Yeah.
And then he'd have a joke, and you'd
Yeah.
go, okay, he knows where he's at.
Yeah.
He knows his job.
Exactly. So it's not a
Yeah.
compliment. So,
Right. Yeah.
So you have to understand. They're totally surprised.
That's great.
Oh my gosh.
Well, where
What
can people
happened, so-
find your podcast?
All the podcasts and all of that are on the engagedchurchnetwork.com website, and Mike at engagedchurchnetwork.com. That's where you can reach me.
And what are you doing with your so-called retirement? Your
I'm working with
mentoring
pastors and
pastors.
churches and coaching, and
If you guys start talking about golf, I'm going to have to.
we're not.
I don't golf.
He doesn't golf.
See,
I thought you
don't
golfed.
golf. No, I don't golf.
Oh my gosh.
I
I
used
thought
to.
you were a huge golfer.
I used to, and I love the sport. Now you love the sport.
Wait,
but
I got
listen,
confused because the wish and the want story.
Yeah, they're wishing one story. So that came on a golf course.
Golf changed his experience with the idea of wish and want
You
and
heard
how
that,
he
didn't you?
applied
Did you hear
it
the story?
to his life.
I'm playing with the 16-year-old son of the golf pro who talked to me about the physics of golf. You know, the
Right.
ball. And I
The
hit,
Bernoulli principle.
yeah, I hit my ball, and he laughs at me, which is rude, you know.
Right.
And I said, "What are you laughing at?" He said, "I'm laughing at you." I said, "Why are you laughing at me?" He says, "You don't do anything in your swing to make the ball go where you want it to go." He said, "You just kind of stand up here and wish."
That's funny.
Well, and the lesson I learned is there's a lot of difference between wishing and wanting.
Right.
Most people wish, I would like for it to be different, but I'm not going to take the necessary steps.
Right.
Okay, I want to go to med school. What's your GPA? 1.9. You're not going to med school. Okay, all right. Wanting means I would like for this to happen, and I'm taking the necessary steps.
Oh, okay.
Most
I love
people,
it, right?
most
Yeah.
people wish.
Yeah. I'm a wisher. I've
Yeah.
been wishing I'm
Okay.
a real wishy-washy
And
my whole life.
And that's okay. That's okay if you're wishing. That's okay.
Yeah,
but-
now I'm a wanter.
But
now
I'm not going to spend a lot of energy helping you with a wish because you're not going to do anything with it.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
That's great.
Yeah.
And who did we have on our Deloney? Was it Deloney that talked
Yeah.
about the book that when men hit their 60s, their creative mind it's dissipating. It's
Yeah.
hard to create new. And I find that in the comedy.
Yeah, that's Arthur Brooks. Arthur Brooks has that series
Okay, maybe
of
that's
what to do. Yeah.
yeah. So then we mentor,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and so you're in the kind of the mentoring,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And you,
And wisdom means I screwed up before you did. That's all it is.
and you actually were mature enough to learn from.
That's right. Yeah. I
Instead
got
of-
that scar right here for
Yeah.
doing exactly what you're about to do.
I love the analogy of the alcoholic who keeps pounding his head against a brick wall, and then somebody wise walks over and goes, "You know, there's a door right there." that whole image. Is, I'm gonna
get you through this.
Yeah, you know.
That's me.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, you're such a gift. I'm just
Well,
so
you're
grateful.
kind. I've had a lot of fun.
Here.
I'm glad you did, Mike. I appreciate you coming in.
Sure, anytime.
And we'll break bread with Mr. Chaz at some point.
Oh, please.
Yeah,
please.
And it's a shame I don't drink because I'd love to go to your podcast studio. And you got me at the wrong time. You got me at the wrong time. So.
Oh my gosh. Well, guys, thanks for all the things. Like, subscribe, hit all the buttons. Tell us everything you hated so you drive up the algorithm.
Yeah.
Get really aggressive. Don't email anyone. Tell us in the comments. And then you guys fight together, and then we get more views.
And please share it with your friends. Even share it with people you don't like. We don't care. Just share. Yeah. We all have people on our feeds that we just don't like, but you keep them there.
Yeah.
Take our podcast and give it to them.
God bless you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much.